solve a problem. You've got a little pink box, right? And you have to move. You have to move another box into that pink box by building a thing out of pieces, right? So you build the pieces and pulleys and levers and you know, water pinions and stuff. And you know, it's physics-based, so gravity acts on. Did you guys use Box 2D for that?
Yeah, we use Box 2D.
Box 2D out of the box free framework that you can use to just inject physics into your game. You like make physics go now, you're good to go. So if you're not a good physics programmer, don't worry about it. If you're not a good animator, don't worry about it. Go get TweenMax, and that's free too. You know, if you're not a good not good at running your own collision detection, go get Corey O'Neill's collision detection kit. No problem, right out of the box. So anyway. This level edit thing is super cool because it unlocks the ability for people to share their solutions with each other, and that was the killer feature. Yeah. It's your game.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely was. But I'll say, doing the level editor on Little Big Planet. I mean, it takes 2 weeks or so to make a tolerable level. But if you look at the videos of their staff creating levels for Little Big Planet, they're using keyboard shortcuts in the mouse. So, I mean, you're not using the same tool. The level editor for Fantastic Attraction was actually the level editor we used to create the content of the game. So you were at a level playing field. And we both
so easy to use, right?
Oh, incredibly easy to use. But we suck at level design. We were horrible at it. And I think the first 20 levels of the game they're stupid. And what the community came up with was leaps and bounds better than anything we ever dreamed was possible to start with. I mean, the game has like powered wheels and like all sorts of crazy things, and like you can make cars that go across the landscape. And people are making things we thought were impossible. Like they're using nothing but inert sticks, and that would solve the level. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's awesome. When you create robust enough tools and put them in the hands, I mean, I'm sure the Little Big Planet guys look at their game thinking, oh my god, you know, we never could have cooked that up. But state of the game industry. So, something else that I would humbly suggest, if you are looking at you're stuck on this, I'm going to go make console games thing, is I came out of, my pedigree is broadcast, so I came out of Chorus Entertainment, and I used to build games for YTV, which airs here, yeah, YTV? Yeah, okay, cool. So I built games for YTV for a number of years, and I worked there for 7 years, 7.5 years, and after I got out, I had made over 50 games with them, most of them completely on my own. So I did the graphics, I did the animation, I did the sound design, I did the writing, and, you know, all the voice acting and all the coding and you know all the bug testing. And a lot of these games, because it was only 7.5 years, and it was 50 games, a lot of these games are like, the producer would come and say, all right,
punch the monkey.
Yeah, punch the monkey. Or they say, you know, you've got 2 weeks, go make a game. So, you know, off I go and marry. What that did for me was, let's see, in the same amount of time, if I were working in console, in 7.5 years, I could have worked on probably 2 games, you know, maybe 3. So compare between, I mean, those 2 jobs, how much learning you're doing. Are you really doing a lot of learning, a lot of growing, a lot of learning about game design, a lot of, you know, finding out which parts you like and which parts you don't like? If you were the monster toe modeler on the next greatest console game, or are you doing more learning and growth and you have more opportunity, you know, in a smaller outfit, building 50 games? And I mean, in console, you could be developing an RTS, a real-time strategy game for, you know, 3 years, 4 years. When you're working with Flash stuff, I mean, I've done graphic adventure games, I've done space shooter games, I've done puzzle games, I've done card and kind of casino-like games. Yes, for the kids, we did casino-like games, we did bingo and stuff. So just the range and the wealth of experience when you get into smaller stuff like this, when you think smaller, totally trumps anything that you could do, you know, busting your hump trying to get into, you know, one of these bigger companies. So it's not as exciting, and when you talk to people, they say, what do you do? And you say, oh, I make games. They're like, oh, cool. So like Halo, like, nah, not really Halo, more like, you know, Barbie flip and match adventures. And be like, oh, okay, I've heard of Barbie. You know, well, it's not really Barbie, it's Susie, which is kind of like, you know, a Gloop knockoff of Barbie. And they say, oh, where can I play it? And you say, well, you know, it was for a contest that Gloop did on their site, and it ran for 2 weeks, but I mean, you know, it got 50,000 plays. It was great. 50,000 little girls really enjoyed my game. And by then, the person's out of the room and not listening to you, and you're not cool. So if you can sacrifice the cool factor to doing this stuff, I mean, you're set. But if you absolutely have to work on the next chainsaw zombie hooker monster game, then yeah, good luck to you. But you're competing, remember, you're competing, and most of your students, I'm guessing, right? Who's here from industry, so I don't make you fall asleep? One guy from industry, so, oh yeah, good, excellent, right, industry.
There's four
dudes. So I'm gonna speak mostly to the students if that's okay, right? So if you're, if you are gunning for one of these jobs, and I taught a bit in Ontario, I told them, man, Ontario has a number of colleges that have programs like the one here at NPCC that are game design programs, and you learn some programming, you dabble a little bit in this and that, but they're graduating in Ontario, they're graduating like 40 students every 4 months from one school, and it's one of about between 5 and 10 schools that they have in Ontario, and the opportunities are a lot greater in Ontario, and they still suck. So, think Flash. Put it simply, think Flash. But Flash is coming under some fire recently.
Well, before we go back to Flash, let's stick to the console for a second here. I'm guessing not all of you want to go work for EA. So, of those of you who want to get your game on the console, how many are hoping to do it by yourself or with a small indie team, get a game on XBLA or something like that? Yeah, so a big chunk of you too. Yeah, because that's a little different. I mean, you're talking about going to work for a big company and like modeling the monster's big toe, and that can be soul crushing. But if it's what you want to do, go for it. But
I've heard that PSN is much more indie friendly now than XBLA has become.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. 3 years ago or so, XBLA was accepting pretty much anything, but they're trying to turn it into a premium marketplace. And at GDC in San Francisco in May, I think it was, Killer Bee Studios did an awesome talk. And I forget what games they did, but they have a ton.
It was Ninja Bee.
Yeah, Ninja Bee.
They've done Outpost Coloki X, and they've done what was the one where you guys play Xbox Live Arcade? The one with your Kingdom for Kelflings.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So they said the bare minimum price to get a game on XBLA is over $1 million now, and
who's got rich parents?
Yeah,
I want to see those hands. Oh yeah, we're talking right after this.
Yeah,
we're talking.
Yeah. Whatever he offers, I'll double it. But it takes $1 million to get a game out, and they say it requires a staff of at least 6 to 8 to even keep up with Microsoft's milestones, and it probably takes a team of 12 to actually release a game. Now, and that's just because they put so many demands, so many requests on you and everything, and their framework changes so rapidly. You have to develop the game so quickly that with a small team, it's not possible to develop it fast enough. It just isn't possible. And
meanwhile, I've got a friend who used a game idea, and it's so frustrating because I had this game idea, and I'm like, I don't know if it would do well. Yeah, it did well. So he made around 50K. If you play on Xbox Live Indie Games, you might have seen it. It's a game where you're a woman in a delivery room shooting a baby out of your bits across the room, and it's some sort of target game or something. Anyway, completely audacious and gross, and the graphics are terrible. But yeah, he's pocketed some coin. So the good thing about that is he really knows the audience, right? So if you know who's playing Xbox Live Indie Games, then you can target the proclivities of your audience and do well.
Well, that's an X-Blig game, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So those of you that don't know, Xbox has their XBLA, which is where everyone goes to spend their money. Then there's X-Blig, where Xbox Live Indie Games, I think they call it, where anyone can go and release a game on there. But they say the market for that is like, you know how doom and gloom the iPhone market is, and how bad people talk about the iPhone sometimes? It's exactly the same as the iPhone market, except the audience is only 1% as big.
Yeah, it's an itty bitty audience. But we should talk. Maybe the crowd doesn't know about the iPhone audience. It's worth talking about, I think. So I saw some of you guys were working on some iPhone stuff, And I talked to a few of you, and I mentioned the terms of service change, and I got some dead stares. So maybe that's a new piece of information.
It's very important.
That's helpful. Yeah. So what happened was Adobe, the people who make Flash, which is I believe the Flash player is the most installed piece of software in the history of mankind. It's on 98% of computers in the civilized world, which is a hideous number. I mean, that's
more than Windows, I think.
It's far more than Windows, right? Because they can be on Mac, they can be on PC, they've got the Flash player for Linux. Anyway, so these guys were coming up with their CS5 product. Flash CS5 was their next product. And it was just released a few months ago, and the big selling feature was they had this thing where you could take your game and hit a button, and it bundles it up into a little package that you can just zip on over to the iPhone, and it'll be a nice playable game. Steve Jobs does not like Flash, and he decided that this was not a good thing for his product. He doesn't allow Flash on the iPhone, and largely most people are pointing out the fact that that will cannibalize his App Store sales and the gains he's made with games on the iPlatforms. So what he did was he made this change to their terms of service, and he said, "Thou shalt not put anything in the App Store that wasn't made with our God-ordained Xcode tools." So if you're not programming in Objective-C, terms of service